My dentist called me at midnight. That's how it began, between the soft hum of my refrigerator and the slow ticking of the clock that hadn't worked properly in months. His voice trembled through the receiver. "Don't panic," he said, "but I need you to come in now." My mind tried to form questions, but the way he said "now" froze them in my throat. "Why?" I managed. A pause, breath, then, "Your X-rays. I found something that shouldn't be there, something someone put in your mouth." Silence stretched thin. I thought it was a joke, a medical error, a nightmare made of static. But there was something in his tone, controlled fear, that made me grab my keys and leave without brushing my teeth. When I arrived, the lights inside the clinic burned too bright. He stood waiting in his white coat, pale, fingers trembling as he pointed at the screen. There it was, a small, dark chip lodged near the back of my jaw. "Not bone, not metal, something foreign," he whispered. "It's not medical." And for the first time in years, I felt something colder than betrayal, recognition. Because I already knew who could have done it. Her name was Claire, my wife. Or what she had been before I started noticing the silences. The careful way she avoided eye contact when I mentioned work. The faint scent of cologne that wasn't mine on her coat. At first I told myself it was stress, marriage fatigue, but the body knows what the mind refuses to admit. I'd caught her once, standing in the hallway, whispering into her phone at 2 a.m. When I entered, she smiled, too easily. "Just work stuff," she said. "This late? You wouldn't understand." And she was right. I didn't, not then. But standing in that sterile room, staring at the X-ray, I understood everything. She had been with someone else, someone who knew me better than I thought anyone did. My routines, my health, my weaknesses. She was the one who had scheduled that dental appointment 6 months ago, the one I didn't remember asking for. She said it was just a cleaning. I remembered how the dentist back then was new, young, nervous. How Claire had insisted on paying for me. How she'd stayed in the waiting room, scrolling through her phone, smiling faintly at whatever message she was reading. The memory hit like ice water. She hadn't been fixing me, she'd been planting something. I didn't confront her, not yet. People like Claire feed on reaction. I starved her instead. I went back to my daily life with surgical precision. Same breakfast, same routine, same empty kiss before she left for her meetings. Inside, I cataloged every inconsistency, every lie she thought was invisible. Her new perfume, citrus and musk, her passwords, slightly changed, her bank statements, shortened. I hired a private investigator, a quiet one. He delivered the first batch of photos within a week, Claire, outside a sleek office building, leaning into a man's car window, smiling the way she hadn't smiled at me in years. The man's face was familiar, my colleague, Daniel, the one who'd invited us to his wedding 2 summers ago. And suddenly, everything aligned, the timing, the distance, the chip in my jaw. Daniel worked in security systems, surveillance tech. They hadn't just cheated, they'd watched me, tracked my voice, my movements, my life. And I'd been sleeping beside the evidence the entire time. When the investigator brought me proof, a recording, a message thread, I didn't feel anger, just clarity. Claire's voice, soft and careful. "He doesn't suspect a thing. The chip works perfectly. Daniel said it records proximity, sound within 5 feet. We'll know everything." My name was in her laughter, my privacy in her mouth. That night, I sat across from her at dinner. She smiled, cutting her steak, pretending. "You're quiet," she said. "Just tired," I replied. She leaned in, her perfume slicing through the air. "You're overworked. You need to let people help you." I smiled. "You already did." She didn't notice the shift, the calmness, the quiet calculation. But I'd already filed the police report, already had the chip removed, already given them the names. The trap was set. They came for Daniel first. Corporate espionage, Unauthorized surveillance. His company folded overnight. Claire tried to reach me when they questioned her. I let the phone ring. Later, when she came home, her voice cracked beneath the weight of her own panic. "You knew," she whispered. I nodded once. No anger, no performance. When? The night you told me not to panic. She flinched. The same words, my words. For a long time, we just stared at each other, her world crumbling in silence, mine rebuilding quietly behind my eyes. "You ruined us," she said. "No," I said, standing. "You recorded it." And I left her there, at the table, surrounded by the remains of a dinner she'd never finish. The clinic feels different now, quieter. I still see the ghost of that X-ray every time I close my eyes. Sometimes I touch the scar near my jaw where the chip once lived. A reminder of what people do when love rots into strategy. They say betrayal kills trust, but in truth, it births precision. I don't dream of Claire anymore. I don't hate her either. Hate is just another form of attachment. What I have now is simpler, cleaner, like silence after a scream. I've learned to live with it, because once you've had something foreign lodged inside you, you stop fearing what people can put in your mouth. You start fearing what they can't take out.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.